Hello everybody and welcome to Vigilant Citizen. My name is Josh. Today, as you can see, I'm not outside. I'm not in the room that I was in the other day. My wife is home right now, so I want a little more privacy because this is kind of hard to do when you have extraneous thoughts out there. If I'm worried about, what other people are thinking of me as I'm talking in the middle of talking. So it's easier if I'm just kind of confined to a small space. Some might say it's a man cave, but no, that's not the case. My entire house is my man cave. I don't fall for those traditional stereotypes that you may hear about from other people. So no, this is my office that I've been working on. If you look closely behind me, you can probably see some of the drywall patchwork that I've done to cover up the holes for the electrical work that was done in here. But maybe you can't see it. Maybe the old saying goes, as a lot of people have told me, that when you do your own housework, your own work on your home, you're the only one who can see the spots. Now, if I showed you the ceiling, you could definitely point out where I botched some of the things, but nobody ever looks up in those corners, thankfully. So today's drink of choice is the Captain Picard Special tea, Earl Grey, hot. It's getting cold out, so tea is becoming my go-to drink of choice when it's getting colder, especially in the afternoon if I've already had enough coffee for the day. So another thing you might notice is this is starting to getting pretty full. I'm doing No Shave November, so the volume's getting up there. I was told the other day that it looks pretty nice, that it looks kind of like grass. It's very straight. I don't tend to have curly hair, plus I groom it and take pretty decent care of it. So I have to, right? Because I don't have any other hair to take care of or to speak of. So this is where my focus is. Although it's probably a little frizzly right now because I took a nap. I was so tired. I took a nap. And people who have hair up here, they'll have bed head, right? But I do not. I tend to get beard. What would it be called? So if it's bed head, it would be bed beard, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. But sometimes I'll take a nap and it'll just go just all over the place. So forgive my appearance if it's doing that. I can't really tell in the video how bad it might be. So anyway, enough about me. Oh, and you can see here, I've had these for years. I had a hand at podcasting. These are supposed to help out with noise. They're just little styrofoam things. Oh, you can't see where I'm touching right here. But I just got them kind of push pinned into the wall here just to help out. Like I said, I've had these for years. I'd never had a chance to use them, but I was sitting in here in my office and joining meetings, and I could hear my own echo throughout this room because there's not too much on the wall. So I figured, whatever. Let's put them up and let's see how it goes. You can see I've got my guitars finally hung up too. You can barely see my electric one back here, but yeah, I do some playing every now and then. Okay, now for real, enough about me. Let's talk about the topic of the day, which you probably saw on the thumbnail and might be wondering what that means. Today I want to ask you to think about adopting a philosophical mindset. And when I say that, I really think that there's two approaches to many things. And it's you either adopt a philosophical mindset or you adopt a more rules-based mindset. And I have to give credit to my friend and mentor, Jeremy, out there, because we've talked about this a lot, and this idea primarily came from him. But it's a good way of framing the way you go about things, especially at work, but at other places too. Like, I always liken it to church too. I don't even attend church, but I think about different organizations that you might be a part of, a nonprofit, or if you're on the board of the board committee of something, of a nonprofit or something like that. There's different ways to approach these kind of things. So when I say a philosophical mindset, let's start with the rules-based mindset and start with that, and then that'll kind of lead into what the opposite might be. So if you're adopting a rules-based mindset, it is exactly what it sounds. Here are the rules, they've been laid out, and you follow them to the letter. And if you don't do them right, then you have done something wrong, right? So, for example, when I was in college, I spent a summer working for a Pizza Hut, and I was doing delivery. I was a delivery driver for a little bit, but I also spent some time back in the kitchen putting the pizzas together. So a rules-based mindset would be like this. When it comes time, when you get an order for a pizza and it comes time to make a pizza, you make the dough, you push it down into the pan, and it has to be exactly 1/4 of an inch around the pan, up on the sides. And then you put exactly 1/4 of a cup or a 1/2 of a cup for a large, or let's say for a small. You put 1/4 of a cup of tomato sauce in there, and then you put exactly 1 cup of cheese. I'm making up these measurements, okay? So for those of you who are experts in making pizzas and you've been doing this your whole life, please forgive me. I'm just kind of throwing some of the stuff out there. So you put that much cheese on, and then you put exactly 60 pepperonis all the way around in a concentric circle, and they have to follow this pattern, right? Obviously, that's a little outrageous. I'm going a little above what the actual rules might be, because obviously I followed these rules when I was making them, but they weren't quite as strict. But you get my point. So a rules-based philosophy would be you come in, you hear those rules, and you follow them to the letter, and you believe that that's the best way to do it, and there's no questioning it. There's no other better way. It's almost as if you believe that these rules were granted to Pizza Hut by God. They were divinely inspired. They were written down in the Pizza Hut Bible somewhere, and they are unquestionable. They are unquestionable tenets of Pizza Hut faith, basically, right? So every time you make a pizza, you'll follow these to the letter. And when you become a manager, right, say you get promoted and now you're manager over the store, or you're a team lead over the kitchen or something like that. Now, as you have people working below you who report to you and they're making pizzas, you hold them to that rule set fast, hard and fast. And you say, if I don't see 60 pieces of pepperoni in concentric circles atop a layer of 1 cup of cheese and atop a layer of 1 cup of tomato sauce, or whatever the numbers I said a moment ago were, then I'm going to write you up, right? Or something like that, because you didn't follow the rules. So that's what I mean when I say a rules-based philosophy. You accept the rules, you take them for what they are, you apply them, and you question nothing beyond that. So, and I think that's important. I want to be very clear about this. So what I'm about to say next, when I say that you might want to think about taking a philosophical mindset, is that it's important to know what the rules are first. Now, the philosophical mindset starts questioning, well, why are these rules in place? What are we trying to achieve by having these rules in place? What do we gain from it? And what was the initial thought when these rules were placed? You start to understand, hey, these rules weren't given to us by God. These rules came from Nigel, the Pizza Hut manager from 1989, and they've just been in play since then. Well, and the reason that he made it that way is because they only had so many pepperonis that were delivered per month because of supply chain issues back in the 1980s or something, right? So you start asking these questions and you say, you know what? We can actually reduce the number of pepperonis. And you know what? We can actually reduce just a little bit of cheese on each one, right? Now, we're not doing it to be a disservice to our customers. We're finding that people are actually saying that it might be actually a little too much, or they don't even want that much. So why are we doing it in the first place? So asking questions about those rules, understanding why they were there in the first place. And if you start asking those questions when you're the one making the pizza, it'll become much easier when you're the person overseeing those in the kitchen making the pizzas, to allow them some flexibility so that they can experiment and innovate and maybe save your company a lot of cash, right? Or come up with an entirely new product that blows everybody else out in the market and suddenly creates something new. I mean, that's like the ideal outcome, right? It's not as likely, but you never know. If you're just following the rules just to follow the rules' sake, it's likely that you're, in some sense, constraining and imprisoning people so that they don't have the space to come up with something new, creative, and cool. But again, it's important to know why those rules were in place. Because if you just came into Pizza Hut and you said, you know what, I'm gonna put the dough in first, but now I'm gonna make a circle here that goes to the bottom of the pan because I think it's cool, and then I'm gonna put the tomato sauce on top of it. But before you know it, when you put it through the oven, those big giant convection ovens with the treadmills that send it going through, but then you find that you've burnt a hole in there, and the whole pizza's burnt, and maybe even the convection oven gets filled up with smoke or something like that. So it's important to know the rules and why they exist and what they're there for, because if you don't understand the rules and you don't know why they were put there in the first place and what the context was surrounding their inaction, then you will have no good idea of when to reasonably break them, because this really was an old adage. Rules are meant to be broken. I don't ascribe to that exactly, but I think given the right context and the proper thought put behind it, rules can be broken to achieve a better solution than the ones that they were originally put there for. But that's got to be the whole reason that you're breaking them. You can't break them because you're like, oh, I'm a rebel, I'm so cool, I'm doing something great, and look at me go. No, it can't be because of that. It has to be because I see the original intended purpose of these rules. They are no longer meeting that original intended purpose. In fact, sometimes they may be actively working against that purpose. So I am going to break the rules, experiment a little bit, and now we can start forming new guidelines, principles, standards, or rules around what I've experimented because it's working better. I have now improved this overall process because I broke the rules, but only because I understood why the rules were there in the first place. So I said a lot. I think that pretty much sums it up. The philosophical mindset is being open to understanding what things could be, not just what they are today, and realizing so many people, I see this all the time, so many people forget that rules were designed by humans like you. You're a human. This is what I mean when I say you're an actor in the world. Be an actor in the world, because other people are doing it. They're writing the rules, right? They're not some magical expert or whatever. I don't care how many degrees you have or whatever. You're just another human, just like me, and you're fallible too. And so be open. That's another thing. When you're making rules and you're experimenting and you start creating rules around what you've learned, just be open to changing those too, and be open to seeing somebody else who works for you to break those rules if they're doing it in good faith, if they're doing it for the same reason that you broke the rules when you were making pizzas. So, boy, I could go on about this for forever. I really love this topic, and I love the thought of it. Like I've said before, I have people reporting to me, and I'm a manager in a small team. In my small team, I mean about 10 people reporting to me, and I feel that's always been my philosophy, is approaching it from a why are we doing it, not just the how are we doing it. Because if we understand the why, and I help the people who report to me understand why we're doing something, I am more likely to trust them when they say, hey, I went over and did this without even asking you because I wanted to achieve X, Y, and Z. I can be like, okay, great, good job. Thanks for letting me know. There's some fallout now, but I believe that what you were doing was in the best interest of the team and of the company, and now we can move forward, and I can have your back because I know what you were doing and what you were trying to achieve. Obviously, you can't let good intentions pave the road to hell. Those good intentions have to be in good faith, and they have to be with some intelligence and understanding of the way the world works behind it. You can't just, I want to do good things, so I'm going to make all these policies because I feel they make me feel good when I enact them. No, then you're just Congress and you get nothing done. So, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. Again, I could go on about this for hours and hours and hours. So if you have any thoughts on this or questions or comments or want to engage in the discussion, and I'm happy to have a follow-up conversation on this, especially if there's any really good questions or if you want to challenge my thought process here, let me know what you think. You can do so in the comments, obviously below, or you can send an email, which I'll have in the description of the video. And before I sign off, make sure to check out my Rumble channel. I have at least one video over there that is not on YouTube. I keep planning on doing more, and then I'm still working on the house, and my wife and I just got a new kitten too, so that's taking up some of our time. I am more of a dog person, just to be clear. You've always seen the dogs here, but we have another cat we have two cats, and one's trying to play with the other, but they're not. One doesn't like to play, So it's like, okay, let's get him a little buddy so he has somebody to play with. So she went and picked out a kitten, and I helped her get him, and that's what this is. He got me nice this morning. So so long story short, I could use all those for excuses why I don't have more videos, but I'm going to. So on that note, thanks everybody for the conversation. Always appreciate it. And shout out to new subscribers too. I'm pushing 100 subscribers, and again, it's not about the numbers or anything, but it's really cool to see some of you joining and just coming in to listen to what I have to say. I never thought I'd even get this many people. So if you like what you're seeing, share it with people, and let them know what you think, and spread the word. I'm just trying to help people out learn from my mistakes and learn from the things that I've learned over the years. So thanks again for joining. Really, really happy to have you as part of the community, I guess. Is that the word you use on social media, right? I wouldn't know. All right, everybody. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you next time.